up, people? Hello, hi, howdy. Let's. I just realized I forgot to change the text, and it's still from Mama Drawk making a critter. So let's change that. Ooh, I'm way too far back. Sorry, I have been out of it. Just immediately off the rip, I am sick. I have a bad cold. I'm just getting through it now. That's why I'm not streaming this on the normal day when we said we would, when there'd probably be more people here. What a shame. Okay, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want to start this off? Unwell? No, don't. Unwell can't be my name. Whatever our un is, it's got to be something we stick with forever. Mama Drawk, introduce yourself. You know what's so sad? I really wanted to call myself Unstoppable because everyone wanted to give us unnames, and then I got sick for chapter 1, and now I definitely can't. Because yeah, stopped immediately at the beginning. Because in general, oh, they can't hear you? Oh, fuck, it picked the wrong audio for desktop. God damn it, tech issues. That's not even a device. What are you doing? All right, talk now.
I'm a person. You can hear me.
Yeah. Yeah. In general, I am a person who does not relent. I tend to not like being stopped by things. Unreliable's rude. But if I get really sick, I have forced myself to learn the lesson that it is just objectively not productive to force yourself to work when you're sick. Unrelent isn't actually bad because, like, you get less done if you work through sickness, because then you get sicker.
I agree. It's funny as arse for me, though, that they're calling you all sorts of great names.
I don't like these ones. Unstreamed is not true. Look, sometimes you get sick. It happens.
I don't know what to tell you. You know what? They made my name.
Yeah, Unhinged is great.
Unhinged it is.
You can't. I am perfectly healthy most of the time. Most of the time.
Uh-huh. I think some of these are really funny.
I have debated instead. I have some choices. I have some options for what our name is gonna be. What my name is gonna be. I've considered Unfilter.
Unfiltered. Not bad. Kind of on brand for you.
I kind of like it. Under the weather, unimmunized. You people.
Did we decide on Undead? What did we decide?
Undead Mom Luck, because I did Mom Dead Mom Luck, and you didn't like that it sounded like. Wait.
I don't like Undead
But have you considered Mom Dead Undrawk? But look at that.
I'm not.
But look at the look.
I'm not being Mom Dead, and you'll feel really bad if I get hit by a bus.
All right.
Mom Dead. I
just read chapter 31 because I got the update while not in a right enough brain to actually read something that we were doing 30 instead of 30.
Ravantha's right. It could be Undrawk Mom Luck.
Yeah, but I feel like that doesn't sound right. I feel like the dead is needed for the name.
You're wrong. It doesn't. Power. It's great. It's great. Undrawk Mom Luck.
All right, we can do it.
You know what I really like?
Undrawk. Not quite. Well, what do you really like?
I really like that we were hanging out and we were like, we're reading to chapter 30. And then I was like, no, I read to chapter 31. I was going to read to chapter 32, but everyone was like, you can't go a single chapter more or you will be in a different story.
I was like, fucking Satan just appeared apparently at like that one. So
I was like, let me.
I was all ready for what we were doing, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, is Satan.
Here's the thing. It was unexpected. I think I'm gonna like this thing. I could get into the un.
The is a fun bit.
Mhm.
Hey, let's get into what'll be the YouTube video intro as I take another cough drop to soothe my weary soul.
Is it your soul that's weary now?
Yeah, that's what's weary. That's what's always been weary. What are you talking about?
Yep, your poor weary soul.
All right.
First things first.
Well,
I want everybody to know that I'm a pirate.
That's true about you. I'm always saying it.
Yeah. So I definitely am sitting beside a well-known restaurant pub in Victoria on the road because I have a hairdressing appointment after this and it's way away from my home. So in order to make sure that I could get here on time and do this stream, I may or may not be stealing So I'm definitely unlawful. I'm definitely a pirate.
You are so unlawful. You are uncivil.
I'm pretty excited because I'm watching all of the tourists walk by being like, woo! I'm just sitting here doing a stream. Have a really great day, tourists. Lots of Americans.
Did I tell you that as a kid, I got so scared because I was a little kid at 9/11 time, and when people would talk about tourist season, I thought it was terrorist season.
Why didn't you tell me that?
I'm pretty sure I brought up at one point where I was like, "Why are we so excited about terrorists?" And you were like, "I think you were not understanding the subtle distinction between two words here."
Okay, good. Because it's a pretty sad statement when you're like, and then I was just hanging out. My whole life was terrifying every summer. Every summer I went into hiding.
Okay. I wanna save all the conversation for it. I just want to do our intro. I want to get something that'll be a good YouTube intro. If we don't like it, hear me out on my pitch here. If we don't like it, because this is our introduction, this is our face of a new series, and Undead Unluck's not getting a lot of love on YouTube, so we're adding to the community in a big way here. So whatever our intro is going to be pretty substantial. I think if we do our intro and we don't like it, yeah, we untro. We jump back, we do it again.
Oh my god. You're not gonna do what's up and then swear, are you?
No, Twitch doesn't like that anymore. Oh, I can't be called unfiltered. I've allowed capitalism to filter me.
Yeah, no, you're not unfiltered in that case at all.
No, fuck.
You just did it.
Shit, I did?
Yeah. Try again.
Okay, here, let's try an intro. You ready?
Okay.
What's up, people of YouTube? This is the Drawk Show, where I, Drawk, have my mom on a lot of the time to do, well, lately we just finished a book club read through of One Piece, my all-time favorite series, and my Mama Drawk, that's the tag. I think we should restart. I think we should think of an approach. Do you want to help us?
I already have it.
Yeah, what's your approach?
What we do is manga.
Manga? This is our next manga?
Yeah, this is our next manga.
Okay. Well, undo. What's up, YouTube, and welcome to Manga, a book club series where me, Drawk, and my Mama Drawk, you want to say hi?
Hi!
We go through manga. We just finished One Piece, my favorite series of all time, and now we decided to do one that I have no experience with. What's cool about this is this conversation being recorded live is our literal first time sharing our thoughts about the series. We usually do like a little bit of some phone calls ahead of time, get our ideas out there, think up what the stream's gonna look like. This is gonna be completely unhinged because we have no idea what each other think of the series so far. We don't know what our thoughts are. We don't know what our observations are. We don't know what we're gonna talk about. We are just jumping around with our first exposure to the first 31 chapters of Undead Unluck.
And we chose it because in the last one, even though I have thoughts and feelings about One Piece that are very big now, and I think that I'll put them out there later on today, I wanted to do a series that when Drawk and I went through, he wouldn't know what was going to happen prior to me.
Yeah, something where we get to make predictions together. I have no idea how to predict this series, by the way.
It's weird as hell.
The structure is unlike anything I've experienced, and it's really hard to know.
It's like me. It's unhinged.
It is unhinged. It's so difficult to figure out what to do with the structure of this. Like, I'm pretty good at reading a narrative and having an idea of what the needs of the narrative are that need to be fulfilled, and drawing conclusions from there by going, okay, what is the most expedient way to tie these threads together? The main way you can predict a story is often by looking at the needs of the narrative and thinking, what answer many of these needs at once? And that'll usually happen. Even in One Piece, you can do this fairly regularly. There's a lot of things you can predict by just thinking about narrative needs, narrative bids, and what can meet them. And Undead Unluck, I don't know where I am. I'm just running.
I got to tell you that at first when we started reading it, I was like, just depressed. I was unhappy because I was like, this isn't One Piece. And then I was like, none of these characters are One Piece characters. I miss One Piece. So why can't I read? Yeah, I was pretty unfair. And then I decided
with our immediate thoughts. Then that's what we're doing. Like our thoughts.
Yeah, like
for first
go right
sections.
into chapter 1, and then I was like, okay, I need to read this and be less of a pissy jerk, and move my way through. And your father kept being like, are you just mourning One Piece? Because apparently I was sitting on the chair going, your father was like, what the hell? What are you doing? And then I grew up.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Yeah, and then
a great story.
Okay. Anyways, I grew up and I stopped and was like, I got to read this in the way that it deserves to be read. So I have to read this not as somebody who's mourning being caught up to One Piece, but as somebody who is finding a whole new manga and deciding if they like the manga genre. Because all I knew is that I liked One Piece. I didn't know if I liked manga. Yeah, and so that for me was nerve-wracking.
It's like how you don't have to be a country fan for there to be a country song you like.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually kind of terrified that I was going to be a person who didn't like manga and only liked One Piece. And I was like,
there's no world where that's not true. The issue is the manga that I know you'll like are obviously, because I know about them, ones I've read, which are not what you want for this series.
Oh, it's important to me that we're doing something for the first time together this time. Like, really important. And so I reminded myself that every time I finish a book that I adore, at the end of the book, I feel like no other book is going to book that hard again, and I don't want to read anything, and it puts you into book slump. So we started with One Piece, which is arguably one of the greatest manga of all time. And so I
mean, it's my favorite story of all time, yeah.
And so I just decided, like, okay, I got to read this in a very different way. And as soon as I decided that, I mean, pretty quickly, he puts his hand around her boobs and grabs her naked boobies. And I was like, are you shitting me right now? But then I held back because she got angry enough at him, and there was a whole situation.
This has the pervy anime humor that I'm used to, but something about the way it rolls with it comes across less garish and upsetting, right?
Yeah, and I think it's because she feels like she has so much more agency as a person than lots of times I found female characters do.
Well, can I say why I think she has so much agency is the story starts with her literally choosing to end her own life so that she doesn't cause more suffering against her control. Yes. And so much of the story, early on at least, is about her learning how to negotiate feelings to control the thing that took her agency away. Like, it is about her search for agency. I'm not even gonna say tactful. I think tactful is the wrong word, but I've been trying to think of Red Dragon what the right words are, and I think it's just like, it feels like the mangaka is more aware of the implications of the pervy humor, and it makes it more okay. There's more awareness to it, for sure.
it's not just that, she talks about it. Like in a lot of the manga, the perviness happens, and it's something that every once in a while, like one of the characters might be like, "You're a jerk," and it's a one-liner where she's like, "Quit acting like that, you disgusting perv," and she continues to talk about it. It isn't just in one instance. She holds that accountable again and again. And I think that makes a huge difference, that the main female protagonist isn't like, "You shouldn't do that," and then just pretends it never occurred. She continues to hold him accountable to his actions. And so you feel more like when that pervy shit happens, that you're like, I know that she will call him out again.
But I think there's also something so important about it, really, really important about the writing, that I'm just kind of realizing how well these themes click together, like how expertly laser sawed these puzzle pieces are, that
Yeah.
you are forced to write the series in a way that you're going to be more okay with the groping, because he wants to die as his mission. He can only die if her powers are at their zenith, and they can only be there if she likes him. So he is forced to step out of his haha, I'm a goofy bastard who's lived 1,000 years attitude and go into, okay, how am I a good enough person that she likes me? And now you see, like, it was never pervy for him, but it was still using her body and realizing, well, that's not an okay way to do it, and becoming like more of a nice guy because of this need to make her like him. Like,
and then on top of it, he's open and honest about why he's doing it, which immediately makes him also kind of suck. So there's a really good juxtaposition in his character development.
mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it more fun.
I really like that balance there. I hadn't thought about that until just now, that like him having to make her like him is why he has this bit of character arc we can track, and why he's forced to step out of uncaring bastard jumping around doing whatever zany bullshit he wants.
And then at the same time, just like anything else, you know, the inevitably he's going to fall for her in a huge way while he is trying to make her fall for him. But I like that he has a juxtaposition of character, not only in that he has a duality of when he has the card in his head and when he doesn't have the card in his head, which we'll get into, but also in that he's fully saying, I'm going to make it so that you fall in love with me, and I'm going to be a big enough person for that. But at the same time, I'm going to be that person so that you will fall in love with me, so the unluck will be large enough to actually end my life.
So someone's saying that made me sad because the moment that they fall for each other is the moment he dies. And I think there's something to that that's a little bit poignant, though, that like he's trying to die, and there's this thought that like life is made worth living by loving and being loved, that he is only allowed to die when he has lived a life worth living. That's kind of beautiful. I kind of like that. That's a little bit sweet.
But also they're already talking about finding ways that they can undo everything that has been done.
Yep.
in which case he would maybe be able to be the person that he is, live a normal lifespan with her, and they would be able to have their time together.
I do not think it's going to end with a double Minecrafting. No, I don't think that's going to be happening, because I think they're going to find an alternate way around. But I think like whether or not that's how it's going to happen, the setup of what they think is going to happen still has a great deal of weight in the series.
Yeah, I would agree. So I think for anyone who's just coming in for the first time, if you started reading Undead Unluck and you were like, yeah, I don't think so, I would suggest that you get to chapter 32. We're not there yet, but I know that I'm going to start to super love it from there, because when we got to chapter 31, I was like, as we were reading, I was getting more and more involved and thinking like, okay, I think I'm going to really, really enjoy this. But I think that it's going to end up being incredibly interesting, because I already have a theory of something that I think is going to occur. I could be super wrong. I hope I'm not, because I think it would be wicked. But give it a chance. Get past 32 before you make any decisions, I'd say. And if you're new to Undead Unluck, come along for the ride with us. We're only up to chapter 31. It's a quick join before we get into the next.
I
It's like it's pretty cool because it's so One Piece um coded and yet not,
mhm.
which is really wild.
I can I briefly talk about something that I think is important context and setup for how this series feels so strange for me.
Yeah.
This series feels like I, in another life, came up with it and wrote it and made it. The art style to me, like, it's not the art that I like most, but I think there's not many people I know who the art they like most is what they're good at making. And those
Uh
people, I think, are very lucky if what your
yeah.
art style naturally takes off as is something that is what you really like. It does feel fairly close to some art I do, not on stream necessarily, but close-ish. But
Yeah.
beyond that, I actually wrote a pilot and pitch for a series for a class and on my own time. It's something that I've thought about pitching before and working on at some point. Um, it's called Immortalis, and it's about an immortal dude who's sick of wandering life, not having meaning, and takes up working as a bodyguard for the daughter of a mob boss. And over the course of getting in, finding out this incredible web of subterfuge that he wasn't aware of, that she's the centerpiece of somehow, he starts to need to learn how to use this regenerating immortality power to actually fight in interesting ways and use this power in clever ways. And he doesn't regenerate, his body flies back together. But in my setting, that was involving things like cutting off one of his hands to throw it behind a guy and focusing his regeneration so the rest of his body catches up with the hand to suddenly be behind someone instead of the hand coming back. Just things like that. And this feels so me coded, and it's so many ideas that I would also come up with. And then beyond just that, Fuuko is a character I would write. She's a character I would design. I
Yeah.
love her so dearly immediately. I have so rarely, it's like her and the main character of the video game Potionomics are the two characters more than anything that I've seen and been like, I would have designed this character, I would have written this character. This feels like it was pulled from my brain in an alternate reality.
She actually reminds me of a little bit of your lead character in the game that you're creating. When I saw
Mm.
her with her beanie and once her hair was it's all short and tucked up under, I was like,
Has a
that's
little bit
so
of that
reminds.
style.
Yeah, it has the style within it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of wild, actually. I would agree. I do feel that, and it's interesting that you said it because as soon as you started to say it, I was like, oh, absolutely, I can see that, and I can see
Mm.
them fitting into any of your worlds.
Mm.
But I was going to say, right away in this, they start to get chased by a group. You don't really know who they are in the beginning, the Union,
Yep.
um, and or as I called them, the Onion, because everything was un.
I Yeah, I mean that I think that joke is there on purpose.
So I liked it better because there's layers to it. So if it's the onion, I was like, well, now there's layers. Just like onion, you peel back all the different things about this that you might know or not know, and there's
All
subterfuge
right,
within
so
the
from now
layers.
on we are agreeing it's the onion.
So it's the onion. So for those of you who are reading it like normal people, it's the union. For those of you who are
It's the
not, for those
onion.
of you who are also unhinged, it's the onion,
I
which I
have to
think
imagine
is
that's on purpose.
I just feel like it had to be. And then I was like, and then you can have all these layers. I'm layered like an onion.
You know what?
And
This
I
is
was like, it's
actually a
way better.
great point. Chat has make sure to be part of a union. Organized labor is how we kill God. Anyways,
And at first, when you're looking at it and they're running away from the union, and oh, wait, before we move on, I do want to talk about this one little part that didn't seem like a huge big deal, but I guarantee it warmed the hearts and souls of all people who really like this manga.
okay.
So you're in chapter 1. He's done his pervy shit and held her boobies because just in
Mm.
case you're new here, touching her actual skin, and especially the more intimate, the more love she has for you, the more likely you are to have a bigger backlash of unluck
Her power
and
is
get attacked.
unluck, and when she causes physical contact, people are charged with unluck. The more she cares for someone, the more unluck there is. It's a ratio of care and physical contact. Yeah.
And because she doesn't want to, don't shake your head. So because she doesn't want anyone to touch her and have this unluck, she takes off her hat and
being main character who at this point doesn't have a name.
Yeah, she has no name. She's nameless.
Fuuko has a name. We're saying I was okay. Never mind. But keep going.
I'm being funny.
I know.
He takes off her toque, and for Americans, that's what you call a beanie. But in Canada, that is called a toque, and I will live and die by toque forever. It's a better word. He takes off her toque, and out spills all this damn hair, like so much hair. And he's like, he likes it. He thinks it's great. And she's all upset about it. And he's like, don't touch me and you're going to get hurt. And he said, you've never been able to go to a stylist before? And she's like, yeah, and I don't want this. And he's like, okay. And he cuts her hair for her. And it's just this sweet moment when he sees how much this upsets her, how much this isn't a thing she wanted to have, but she never felt like she could go to a hairdresser since she discovered her powers because she didn't want her unlucky powers hurting anyone. And he takes a moment to cut her hair for it. And it doesn't feel like he's trying to do it to make her love him. Because it's almost like he forgets in that moment that that's his goal. He just sees a need within her, and the need is so strong that he just immediately falls into like, I can help you fix that. And he cuts her hair for her, and she feels this great sense of release and uncluttered and unfettered from all this hair. And immediately she's like, oh, thank you. And I just was I knew as soon as I read this part, okay, you know what? I think I can get into this. I was still petulant, mind you.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah. And so from that moment on, and immediately after that happens, then the Onion shows up. And we hate the Onion, and the Onion is the worst at this point. And we're like, oh, we're going to be running from the Onion forever. Spoiler alert.
No.
Not
that. That's not what's happening.
But you're sure it's what's gonna happen at this point. You're like, that's it. We're gonna be running from the Onion. I can just move back a little bit, guys. I'm in a car. We're definitely trying to. What we're doing here is our best. Yeah, the Union is the Onion. It is what it is.
Yeah,
if you don't like it,
it's because it's it's the group. It's the Onion.
Yeah, it has to be the Onion.
Yeah.
You can still spell it Union, just pronounce it Onion.
Yeah.
But it's also where we discover for the first time, like you're coming into this thing and you realize that is going to be a thing that exists for everyone. You've got Undead and Unluck, but it turns out that the Onion is also filled with their own uns. And then you start to wonder to yourself, holy shit, who are all the uns going to be? And why do the uns exist? And who put the uns here? And it's just... It's a puzzle that hits you in the face so hard that I wondered, because I don't know. So in most manga, is there kind of like a mystery wrapped in all manga?
Interesting question. So if we're talking specifically shonen manga, I would say it's not always the case, but it's become increasingly common.
Has it become common because of One Piece?
Not necessarily because of One Piece. A big thing is earlier on, the power systems didn't need to have origins. It just was the way it was. And power systems having origins has become increasingly common. Like Naruto, for instance, in its final hours was like, by the way, there's a secret source to the power system in this world. That's not normal. Humans don't just do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say more creative, but I would say like, they're feeling like there's a mystery about certain things, about certain elements of the world. That's more and more common.
I love that there's a mystery in here, and I love it being like this type of mystery that I'm immediately asking myself, like, okay, who are going to be all the uns? Why do we need uns? Who put the uns here? Why don't we want them? Like the mystery of that immediately made me be like, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of this deciphering of all this. What did you think up until this point? Were you as touched as I was by the haircutting moment?
The haircutting scene got to me. It was very, very nice. I was also immediately kind of enamored with the creative way the power system was used, with the idea of like Mr. Zombie, later to have a name, um, being used like a bad luck grenade. I thought was hilarious. I really, really loved the full stretch of fight scene where they kill the first member of the Onion. Uh, I felt like the decisions there were so clever, like how it was written, and then later how it ties into them observing by seeing, okay, we could see your unluck using the environment around you to a certain extent, but needing to pull down an asteroid when there wasn't an option.
Something that I found really cool about this is, do you remember we often talk when we're doing One Piece about how some characters use their devil fruits in really interesting and fantastical ways?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when this person, who was the writer of this again?
Oh, who's to say?
Oh, who's the writer, everyone? I feel like when this Tezuka. So Tezuka, when I think that Tezuka said to themselves that they watched One Piece and saw some of the characters use their devil fruits in a clever way, because they felt the same way as we did, because immediately they're thinking of the most incredible ways for her unluck to become an actual weapon. And
Mm-hmm.
and I can see that we're going to have a lot of refining of how do you turn unluck into a weapon. And the beautiful thing about it is she's a dichotomy of being absolutely kind and loving in a true way, not needing to be, there's no fakery in her empathy and caring. And yet the thing about her is her touching you would bring you devastation. So the way in which she's pulling back. So I think it's going to be so cool to watch the way they continue to use her unlock power, which in itself wouldn't be really weapony, would just be a burden, and instead they're turning it into this like cool, awesome weapon.
I agree. I really like the kind of transformation there that we're being promised. People are giving a lot of like comparisons, but I think honestly, this, to me, a lot of these only feel half accurate, and I think it shows that the author's done a great job at taking their inspirations and adapting them in a really creative way, that it does sort of feel wholly fresh to me.
It really does feel fresh, even though it's totally One Piece coded, and even though you can tell that this person was like, I like the way these people use their powers, and I'm going to create a system in which using powers of uns is a challenge, because there is no power that anyone has had so far where you're like, well, you could obviously just do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
none of them. The
I think the
interesting and unique
closest
way.
is Zombie Man himself, where it's like, yeah, of course, but even his power is pushed well beyond what you would assume of it.
He's not a zombie. He's very clear about that.
But I'm sorry, but until we get to the point where he has a name, he's Zombie Man.
He's not a zombie. He's undead. He's even got that great, awesome tattoo that tells you so.
I'm just gonna real quick take a look at something. It's called the Monster Manual, if I can. So if I can just bring this up, zombie. What's the creature type on a zombie? Undead? Wow, weird. Okay, let's move on.
I'm gonna bite your nose off, and then I'm gonna say ganap.
We're bringing the Smurfs back, huh?
Whenever you can bring Smurfs in, you should bring Smurfs in. That is just a fact.
The issue is if that is your threshold, what you just did for when you can bring Smurfs in, you can always bring Smurfs in. There was no special threshold that we reached there of Smurf acceptability.
Yeah. This person is like, it really makes you think about, how does the tattoo stay? I've already had that thought. Like, how does undead stay on him, and how does the number stay on him, and what is the number for? Is the number related to like a thing he needs to remember, blah, blah, blah. One of the things I like about him is that he continues to think when pulling off his head. He uses all of his body as a weapon. So he's like, oh, I can shoot my fingers if I bite them, so they're kind of on but kind of not, and then I can shoot them out. That one was kind of pushing it for me, but it's still super fun that he's like, I don't need that body. I can pull my head off and make my body chuck my head.
I do I just in general love his powers. Like I said, I have an entire premise cooking in my brain about someone coming up with creative ways to use regeneration powers. So this is scratching my brain because they're doing what I was doing for my story in theory, but they're doing it in a very different way than what I was thinking up. Like, I don't know. It's fun to see someone take the same idea you've had and fully explore it in a published series, but in their own way that feels entirely fresh.
So it's very on you, and it's their own awesome little thing. Yeah, I could see that. One of my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
panels is when he goes, I can't say I've ever taken a meteorite to the face until now. Just like, oh, and everyone should be aware that in the first few chapters, dude is super naked pretty much all the time because what clothes could he wear? So
Yeah.
they just have a weird rectangle blur over his genital area.
I am
The
glad that we come
general
up with a
genitals.
solution.
You what?
I'm glad we come to a solution.
I like to call it the general genital area.
You want to run that one more again, or are we gonna call that the final take?
General genital area.
Genital.
The genital area.
I have a qualm with the series that I want to bring up now.
Okay, give her.
So at this point, Zombie Man is given a name. She names him Andy.
Andy.
So we have Andy and fuuko.
And he is handsy.
Dear God. So here's the one qualm I have. I love the art for the most part. I don't love looking at Andy's face a lot of the time.
Why? Is it because of the thing coming out of his forehead?
No, it's because of his weird big smile that he's doing all the time. He kind of looks like Jim Carrey's The Mask.
That's interesting. All I see is like Smoker's Family. Every time I look at him, he just looks like Smoker's Family or like a young smoker.
He looks like a crazy smoker is the thing.
What was the name of the dude? You don't know, so you shouldn't bother trying because you're not Gen X. But there was a dude, he was just a head, and I'm trying to remember his name, and he was on like a music video show, and he did all the music videos when I was a kid, and then somebody saw him, and they put him in like pop commercials and shit. He looked so much like he is the child of that goddamn thing. Yes, Max Headroom, thank you. He looks like Smoker and Max Headroom had a baby. And now it's Andy.
Huh. I mean,
I love it when a person is just like, oh, Mama gave a ridiculously stupid explanation. Here's what she meant.
See, Max Headroom. I've heard so many of your generation reference that in things, and it has never sunk in what they're talking about. So I'm glad I can put a concept to the name now.
Rivers Revenge thought the same thing too. That's cool. Yeah, as I was watching him, I was like, oh, he reminds me of Smoker and Max Headroom having a baby.
Look, I don't like looking at his face. I'm sure it'll grow on me, or the art style will soften slightly, as often is the case with mangakas. But at the moment, I just look at his face and I'm like, eh.
I thought he seemed very simple until a moment, so we'll get there. So I started to wonder, like, how does he keep the tattoos on his body when he's constantly changing, or the tattoos? I wondered if the tattoos were connected to a soul and not to the person, like if they actually
I like the suggestion from chat that they could be tied to an ability, but wait, chat might be telling us real things. I just realized.
Chat, don't tell us shit.
Chat might be telling us stuff and pretending they're thinking along with us.
You can't do that, chat. We need to not be that. I was
cheating?
Like, are they tied to who he is? Are they tied at a soul level? Are they tied to a different part of him? So no, but don't gaslight either, because it's you don't know this Drawk, but it's not as helpful as one thinks.
The issue is, if you guys try gaslighting, most of you are bad at it and actually are giving hints when you do that.
That's unacceptable.
Like, the vast majority of the time that people
the uns are going to be awesome.
They're really bad at it, and I can tell that they're just misleading us, and then it's just a hint.
Yeah. I'm very good at picking up on hints.
You are very good at picking up on hints. That's very true.
It's a talent of mine.
It's because of that
They're
talent that
very
I'm very good at not giving people too many hints.
I thought it was really cool when they head off and they start to go on this thing, and I'm like, oh, they're going to be doing all these interesting adventures of this and this and this, and then the sky splits, because having just finished One Piece all in one chunk over not over like less than a year, every time something happens that is One Piece coded, I get so excited. So when the sky split open, I started to think about the way that the sky could be rendered in One Piece world, and I was like, it's almost like this sky is what's it called, Matrix, and that this is all a video game, and the Matrix control power has cracked open the sky, so then it's a Matrix combined with like a One Piece ideal. And then boom, something comes from the sky. The onion comes down to attack them because they need to take them out. Yeah, baby.
Why do you need to take us out? Well, I mean, think about it. You are a walking nuke. Weren't you trying to die yesterday?
Yeah, weren't you just trying to die? What do you care if I come down here and try to kill you?
You should be fully
Fuuko,
aware of
if anything, Fuuko, I think you know why you need to die.
You were trying to kill yourself for the same reason we're trying to kill you. We are in alignment here.
And so I was like, well, she really seemed to have changed her mind quite quickly. Is it the haircut? I mean, are you enjoying?
Lots of people, it's pretty common for people who are saved from committing suicide to never try again. It's either never try, like I forget we're not supposed to say that word, pretend we didn't. People who Minecraft themselves and are stopped often don't Minecraft themselves again. It's either that or they do it really often, a lot of the time, forever.
Hey, Haruko. Yeah.
Those are the two options.
I really like how you did. I really enjoyed that when they come to attack them again, when the onion comes down the next time, I was like, damn, the onion is coming just like again and again. And I actually said out loud to myself, this is going to get boring. Are we just going to be running from the onion, and the onion is going to jump on down every 5.5 freaking seconds and attack the shit out of us? I'm going to get so bored with this. So I was ever so happy to see that that is not the direction that we were going to go into.
No, not at all.
And to find out, do you think we should just jump ahead to finding out that there was a seat available?
I mean, there's like a fight. They kill a guy. Now there's a seat available.
Yeah. So the Union/Onion, they have a squad, and they're allowed a certain number of members at a time. They sit around a round table like Knights of the Round Table. And there was a seat available because they made it available through killing somebody. And so they found out that if they both wanted to be in the onion and both got to be a part of this, they needed to make another seat come available. When I looked at that seat PPSS, I'm just going to go and look at what note I took on it because I don't know where I took the notes. Given that it's me, I probably put the notes in notes. That's how I roll, in case you're wondering. When I looked at that round table, I was like, yeah, there's Knights of the Round Table coded in here, and that's pretty cool. And then, what was the next thing I noticed? There it is. And then I think that maybe it can be each one of the seats at the table could be a different yokai, that there can be 12 of them, but it could be up to 13, I think this said, but there could be for sure 12. And then each one, like Kappa is 12 a.m., mischievous, dangerous, known for luring people to a watery grave. Uriah is 1 a.m. So there's like a type of yokai for each part of the clock that people can go on. So when I saw that they not only made a round table for the onion, they also made it be times, I was like, well, then weren't we, when we got into One Piece, didn't we find out that different times denoted different things, which is why we had that tattoo as a way, or the drawing as a way of meeting up with people? And so I was like, if that was true, then wouldn't it be possible that this person would take it kind of to the next level, and that they could say that each person who sits around this table is a different yokai for a different time on this clock, and then each one of them could represent a certain force, because there's going to be a whole bunch of different things in here, like seven deadly sins type shit, and then there's going to do some stuff in here. She might go Western in some aspects of it and be like, you know, a little more, I don't know, Greek or Roman in it. And that maybe, yeah, I know, Jelly Gremlin, like you could assume Zodiac,
I
but
definitely
in
assumed
all
Zodiac. That
honesty,
was what I connected.
the thing is that there's actually 13 months, and 1 month was pulled out because there's 13 moons a year, not 12, and one was pulled out. But I figured if we were doing it not by months but by time, it would make more sense for it to be 12. So I don't, but there could also be a center thing, because I also thought that Luffy was a center thing. So the 13th could be something like that. So it is possible that it could use like the Japanese system of each time meaning some kind of a different thing. So that's something I wanted to keep an eye on.
It is crazy to be on the bus with you when you're doing that.
Why?
Knowing where the bus is going and hearing you go off is one thing, but like if you are if I am a co-passenger on this trip with you and you start going off like that, it's like ooh. Meanwhile, for me, I was like, I don't know, I was thinking zodiacs. That's where all my brain did for the chairs.
Except for, yeah, like zodiacs make sense, except for the fact that literally we used to have 13 symbols within the zodiac, not 12, because there are
Yeah,
13
but
moons.
chairs
So
can
it
be
makes,
added, right?
so for me, it makes sense for it to be, um, um, I think that a part of it, they might go 13 zodiacs, but it could also be yokai. And why wouldn't it be? I mean, it's got Japaneseness to it. But then again, they do decide to do the whole world in English, which that was clever as shit, eh?
I think that's interesting. I thought, oh man, the okay. So I want to get this. I think we should touch on Gina. Well, first of all, I'm drawing her, and second of all, that happens before we learn all this, and then we can talk about the onion and what they're like. Yes, for anyone
Okay.
watching on YouTube, we know it's called the Union, but come on, it's funny. Let's be.
Yeah. So go on. Pop off. Let's talk about Gina. So they
First
decide
of
they have to
all,
kill one more person, and
yeah,
he thinks he knows where to find a person.
and this goes into more of why I feel like this author I relate to on such a deep level. Lake Baikal is also a place I'm obsessed with. If I were to come up with a random place
Really?
people needed to go, Lake Baikal is so rad. Did you know it has its own species of seals?
I do know that.
There is a
I
lush world of dolphins and seals and geothermal vents, and it is an ocean. It is a lake that's an ocean, and it all stays alive in the winter under the ice.
Jelly Gremlin says the sky has no stars, which confirms it's not our world, but that's not true, because as things are added for them,
It becomes
that
our world.
becomes canon, and nobody remembers what it was like before.
Yeah, which is
So we'll
fucking
get into that
crazy.
in a minute, because we're moving all around too much. So
Yeah, we
okay,
are.
go off.
So they decide to go to Russia. I just want to say I love so much the joke. It's so simple, but I fucking love it when Andy's like, "We're going to Russia. Vodka, vodka." Wait, how old are you? 18. That's legal drinking age there. Vodka. It's so good. I don't know why. I have no like deep observation. I just love that joke.
I did too. I thought it was when you went, "How old are you?" Oh, that's good. That's legal drinking age. I was like, "Aw, good for you, little Japanese girl. You're gonna get to have fun too."
You also get vodka.
Okay, do your thing. You get to talk about her because you chose the. Hey, everyone, this is a big week for Drawk.
Is this a big week for me? What am I doing?
Yeah, this is a big week for you. You got to
Why?
choose the image for the first
I
time
did.
ever.
Yeah, we're taking turns picking images, and I picked Gina. because I
Yeah,
thought this was the coolest shit.
Drawk was like, you could choose the image first. And I was like, no, dude, I've been choosing the image for almost a year now. It's your turn. So this is Drawk's image that he got to choose, which is pretty cool because you get to choose what you draw. Okay, talk to us about her. So they go off to Lake Baikal, which you're obsessed with. They're in Russia. I just want to say, before you go to the part about her and have a conversation about her, I liked, what chapter do we meet her, by the way? Because I'm trying to find us.
I think 5.
Okay, let me just move ahead and find
No.
her.
People are saying Drawk would like Gina. I need to be clear. Y'all don't know how to read my type at all. None of y'all can. I've seen you keep trying. Fuuko is so much more my type than Gina. I just thought this fucking image of the water lifting up was so cool.
Except for you do like girls who are very not good.
Yeah, but they can't. It's not like every time a woman is evil, I'm like, wow, that's hot. No. It's very specific vibes.
Yeah. Okay, so when she meets Gina and she goes, are you a Yamato? Nachiko? I started to think about the Yamato. And I talked to somebody and I was like, what is that? Because I looked it up and it was like, because it says here the personification of an idealized Japanese woman. But then when I looked it up, because they were like, no, Yamato also means, like, if it has a different ending, an idealized Japanese man. So if you didn't put an ending to that, because you have to choose to put an ending on Yamato, if it's an ideal, obviously.
Yeah.
If you do a Yamato with a Nadeshiko at the end, it's an idealized Japanese woman. If you do it with a different ending, it's an idealized Japanese man. And if you choose to just do Yamato, then it's ambiguous. It's like an idealized Japanese person, but it isn't even. So him choosing to make Yamato's name Yamato and have that controversy because they choose to be a man, and now people are like, is it actually a man? And he's left off an ending on that, makes it so interesting. He knew exactly what he was doing. When I realized that he had chosen the name Yamato for them, and it's something that's usually followed by a male or a female ending, I was like, damn, man, you have so outdone yourself with creating ambiguity in that character. You knew what you were doing. Anyway, go on.
We were at Gina. So Gina
that is Gina.
She is unchanged, right? That was her title?
Yeah.
And she detests the concept of change. She wishes things could stay the same. We are introduced to her, like you said, asking Fuuko what kind of Japanese girl she is because she's obsessed with Japanese culture. She's a little weeb. Now, we get into something really interesting here, which is Fuuko draws or paints a portrait of the sky that has stars in it. Why does Fuuko have memories of the world as it was, or as it will be, or our world? Why does she have those memories?
Yeah, two things. Yamato is also that, guys, but it's also the other one, so it's both, which makes it even cooler. Yeah, so people who are watching this and are YouTubey, if you haven't watched it before and you're thinking about reading along with us, the earth can change, and when the earth changes, usually in the Onion is where we see it, then everybody gets a new memory and it's as if it's always existed. And currently there is no stars in the sky when people look up in the night sky, just a moon. And yet Andy painted it with lights all over in the sky. Okay, carry on.
Someone else said, that Victor mentions days of the week and it hadn't been added. Interesting. Yeah, it's the author telling us the world is different without it being heavy-handed. Yeah, Fuuko painted it. Fuuko knew what the world is or was or would be like, which is
that's right.
Fuuko
painted it. Sorry.
Yeah. That to me feels really, really like there's something to that, and I don't know what to make of that, but it feels like one of those things that's intentional.
Yeah, because it feels like Fuuko has some sort of either future sight or knowledge of a previous world, and we don't, or knowledge of a different world or a different plane.
That she just thought the moon was lonely, but I'm not fucking buying it, okay? And
I'm not buying it either.
I also haven't had it revealed what it means yet doesn't mean I'm not right, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I also said to myself, is it possible that if this was a game, she'd been rebooted and she had a memory type thing going on? Because I wasn't convinced this wasn't like a game version of the world and they were rebuilding it, and that a god is someone like you and I, but not you and I because we
Like
don't
a
design
programmer.
games.
That
Yeah,
would
but a
explain the
programmer.
uns being like these weird like bug fixes to the rules. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Oh
then these would be
wow.
bugs inside of a computer generated game.
Trying to kill the coder.
Exactly.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so that
I'm
was
gonna
just
be
kind of
real.
that
That
was the
would
way out.
wait. I might have a superpower for predicting this because I will say, if people are, I'm just saying, people gave us some stuff away there by accident. Funny. Interesting. Interesting. Oh, you guys gave something away. You guys gave something away by accident. Um, Let me think about this. Let me think about what I was gonna say. I have a superpower that can help me predict things here, I'm realizing, which is because so much of the writing feels like stuff I would do, I can check ideas to be like, would I do those? The world being a simulation was the explanation for a lot of powerful magic in my setting for a couple of books I've written that I don't think are good enough to send to publishing, but that I want to come back to one time, where I
Yeah.
have these items called relics that are technological, where most of it is just regular tech, but at the core of it is this little like gem thing that basically is a piece of coding to the simulation the world is that makes something physics defying happen, and all of the tech around it is to just control when an input is sent to that crystal and then like channel whatever the reality bending effect of it is, which tells me it is possible that this could be a simulation because I would also do that.
Yeah. Well, I thought about assimilation in the way that it cracked the sky, kind of a matrix thing. It could also be in that kind of matrix like, but it could, there's so many things it could be right now, right? Like, we're in a very could be place, but I like the idea. That was another one of the ideas that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, carry on. The thing that I liked about them is I did like her immediately. Like, even though I think that she is kind of an asshat because of her being kind of an asshat,
And
I
having a dumb
still,
hat.
yeah, I still really liked her. I was like, she's an interesting character. You can tell that she has humanity to her, but she's, I also knew immediately. I was like, oh, this chick ain't good. This
Oh
chick's
yeah,
bad
like the
news for
lady who's
sure.
like, I like Japanese culture. Let's talk. Oh, this is the one we're gonna kill. Yeah, they're like,
And you're like, oh, that's not good. That's not
you're gonna
good.
die. Sorry, girl.
Let's not get attached to this one in any way, shape, or form.
I loved the strategy of having to use his blood on the bubble to like hide what was happening and then kill her by sending his head into the bubble so the bad luck had to get through. And then it's like, hey, miss, the giant barrier penetrating laser is charged up for some reason.
Exactly. Okay, so she is so cool, but on the other hand, her weird obsession with Andy, I was like, ugh, oh, dude, I'm sad for you. You're gonna need to take down the stalking by like 100%.
Too obsessive. It's uncomfortable.
Oh my god. Did you see what the chapter title of chapter 6 was? I almost
I did
snorted my
not.
console down. You haven't changed at all.
How is there a UFO when there's no space, actually? That doesn't quite line up either. So I wanna present a lot of the things.
No, stick there first, because if you are a Mum Piece person, you know that a chapter being titled "You Haven't Changed at All" is hilarious for me.
Oh god, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. You were so entertaining when I tortured you all those years ago. Now I'm in love with you.
Exactly. That's what upset me about it, because I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You tortured this dude. You made his life a living freaking hell. You hurt him. You made him sad. You belittled him. But yeah, for sure, pop off about your love.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Okay. I feel like as much as we should wait to get into this, I kind of just want to lay my cards on the table with something. No, fuck it. You know what? I'll be a good entertainer. I will save my list of things that don't make sense for when we are done, and then we can go over them all. But the end result of this is they kill Gina and they get to become part of the Onion.
Yes. And I think that was a really interesting thing, because you at first see the Onion as being this shitty group, and she's like, look, I've been a part of it. Her speech upon dying was stunning. That she talked about, I thought I could make change too, but not wanting to have change. Like, at the same time she said she is unchanged, she admitted that she wanted to change things, which is so interesting to have somebody who's all about not changing as their power. And yet she was just open about the fact that she knew shit was bad and it needed to change. And I think one of the reasons that she couldn't see it through, that she might have not thought of, is that because she's the opposite of change. So of course it isn't, because she just talks about how when she's in it, she thought she could make all these things happen, and she had an idealized version as well about how they could help. But all that happens is she gets sent out to kill other people like her. And I'm like, yeah, but did you ever consider the reason that happened for you, even though you start with a really good heart, is because you are changed. It would be very hard.
You there? Uh-oh. 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 She gone, unconnected. I love that I just saw in chat someone say the anime was so good and the anime killed this scene. Oh, you might have been killed in the positive. It looked negative, but like... Well, hey everybody, how are we doing? She usually comes back, so we'll see.
Here, you here?
She back!
Yay! So for me, I was like, well, part of the reason I think that you can't do this, Gina, is because you're literally unchanged. So whether you wanted to do it or not isn't really that compelling.
It's like how whenever you point out social problems, anyone whose political goal is first and foremost on stability is always an obstacle to any significant and meaningful improvement to the world, because there is a necessary damage that comes with improvement. And if someone's first and foremost political agenda is stability before anything else, they are incapable of accepting the necessity of that cost.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Okay, I want to skip to chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10. Chapter 10. While bringing some stuff up. So when we meet the Onion, as happens, some people like them, some people don't. Mostly just all don't like them. Oh, we can't skip to chapter 10, because when do we meet the apocalypse? Chapter 9 or 8?
I think earlier. I don't know why you skipped chapter 10. I think
Okay, it's chapter
10.
9. We've got to go to chapter 9.
You go to chapter 9.
Did you do it?
I'm keeping like chapter 6 open so I can look at reference.
Yes. Okay, so when you go to chapter 9, this is where I started to think that each one of the sections of the table could represent a yokai, because when I looked at the personalities of each of the people in the different parts of the table, I was like, I think it'll be interesting that as we go, that we may find that they align with something like the evils of things, or the good and the bad of the world. And then I was like, what if they're all just yokai? The kind of the way that they represent a time on the clock would make more sense than representing a season or a month, because it doesn't make sense. This looks like what you would put down as a sundial that would tell time, the way their table is done. And then I was like, and there's this weird thing in the middle of the table called the apocalypse. And when it's standing upright, it looks like the thing on a sundial. And I was like, it would be interesting then if each one of them represented a time. And if we attach that to Japanese thinking, then they could also represent an aspect of what that time is like, or something from that time. That's why I started to think about
I
that.
thought more of the representing time is like, the sundial with a thing named Apocalypse is just an allegory of a symbol of a doomsday clock. But, I don't think you're wrong that it could.
But I think things can represent more than one thing. As I've always said, things don't need to be one thing. Yeah. I like that the thing that represents the apocalypse is a book-like thing. Sure.
That's a
because
book for sure.
Because I think it's very interesting that knowledge is power. So I like this idea of them using a book, which is always suggested to be the centering of knowledge or the keeping of knowledge. And then this book suddenly turns itself into this big teeth, giant-eyed, scary apocalypse thing, and it gives them quests. So it'll say there are 6 quests this time. Blah. Capture the Uma bird, and it'll name off all these quests, and then they're supposed to pick which quest they're going to do, who's going to do the quest, and everything comes at a cost. So you either get a reward or a cost is going to happen to you, and the costs are horrifying.
I mean,
like for not fulfilling.
Fundamentally introduce a new Uma, and Umas are these forces that represent an aspect of reality that didn't previously exist and added into being. And there's this implication that things like, well, we know that galaxies didn't exist, so stars didn't exist. Uma Galaxy is only introduced to jump ahead when they fail.
It say new galaxy? I was thinking that imparted that perhaps there was galaxies.
No, it's saying like new Uma, and it's like the concept of galaxies was added. Because
so the concept of galaxies.
Yeah, and they imply that like tragically enough, the only one I can for sure remember was sex, but there was a bunch of them where they imply these things didn't exist previously. And
I really like that the one that your mind is stuck to is fornication.
Yeah, I mean, look, that was a shocking one to have be this didn't used to exist, because I was like, how did that, what, did people just like show up? Did people just like, did they just like...
So this is one of the neatest things I've seen an author do, that I think when we were talking about how unique this feels, this author has these things called Umas. The world is a certain way, and if the quests are not all fulfilled by a certain date, then a penalty is given by this book of evilness.
Death, sickness, and language were the other ones.
Yeah. And when the penalty is given...
Gender. Well, that's still confusing.
Gender. And as soon as the penalty is given, it's as if it always exists. Every person that lives on the earth believes that has always existed from that moment on.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a wildly cool concept that I've never seen before in writing, I don't think.
There's a thing here that I will add to my list of things that don't make sense, that I imagine don't make sense for a reason, and we'll return to it at the end when I go over this.
Okay. Who's Nico?
I have no idea.
Which one is Nico again? I'm trying to find Nico in here. I remember thinking like, very interesting that this person chose this. Nico is the scientist. Very interesting that the author chose to make Nico kind of like as in Nico Robin, the person who has all the information. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. I was like, kind of cool. But what I really enjoyed about this is as they're trying to go through with everything, I started to think about how cool it was that they did it this way, because all of the things that I said, well, this couldn't be our world because it didn't have this, or this couldn't be our world because it didn't do that. As soon as they introduced the idea of the Uma, how you could add things to the world and all of us would believe it had always been that way, that it now can be our world, because you and everyone else would not be aware that things had been any other way, and we would have the whole history of that concept always existing. So I thought that was a really cool way of getting around feeling like we didn't belong in this world and making us feel more connected to it.
Yeah, it's such a weird concept. So this is the point where I want to talk about something interesting. I am always hesitant when stories introduce things that are too big too easily. I think that if your story is about big things, it is your obligation to build towards them in a way that they feel as big as they should. This being said, I think immediately there's leeway given here because it's a comedy, but I'm hesitant and curious to see if they can pull off how large the concepts being introduced are, because I think things this big and impactful being introduced so offhand, there's a narrative risk there to me. There's no guarantee of that being the right decision ever.
Yeah, I like that though. I like that risk.
I'm curious. I'm interested to see where it is. It's, if you look at One Piece as a lesson example, I think the way that it, or lesson in this, I think the way that it handles scale of like how important and huge and impactful things are is fantastic, because we are introduced the ceiling of power with Mihawk very early on, and that ceiling is respected somehow for the entire series. Like that's impressive with how quickly things get out of control in shonen storytelling a lot of the time. And I'm curious
Yeah,
to
because
see when
I
they're introducing
said to you when we met Mihawk, I was like, how much bigger can we get than this? Like, we start here?
Yep, and it turns out not really. Like, how much bigger can we get? No.
No, like that's kind of one of the very, very biggest things. And I was like, thank God, because not normal. It's not normal in any of my worlds that you meet the one of the very strongest strongs of anything in the beginning of the story. Like usually things just spiral until you're like, okay, well, this is ridiculous now. Like this is so unhinged. We don't need all this shit. And Oda did a really good job of introducing a power level that was so ridiculous that he could fight what was essentially like a toothpick, kick everyone's ass, and then not get crazy about it and be in a place where it ended up devaluing it like the peso, where you have power levels that have been pesoed.
Peso, yeah. I mean, that's Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has peso power levels. And it is Zimbabwe dollar power levels at this point.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. The peso is done much better now, so everyone can take a little swallow. But given the things that occurred to make the peso happen the way that it did in the beginning, it is what it is. They exactly did it the exact same way. You devalue the power of your dollar, you devalue the power of your power.
And starting with like, we're gonna kill God in chapter 9 is that huge, but also the concept of we can reintroduce like we can universalize language, etc., etc. Like everything they introduce here is so phenomenally large that I feel like it had that risk of like, oh, this could devalue everything if not handled well.
And I was a little shocked that I'm reading this, and within the first 10 chapters, I've been told that the Onion's whole thing is, oh yeah, we're going to do all these things, and it seems like this thing here, the Apocalypse, is working on behalf of God, but right in front of it, we're going to talk, like right in front of the thing that is being given to them by what you suppose is God, they're like, but let's actually just talk about how we're all just working towards killing God.
If we can do this long enough, we can gain enough power because we keep getting rewards that will kill God one day. So we're trying to tread water. How are you doing on treading water? Well, on a score out of 100, not very well.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, maybe don't talk in front of the Apocalypse. Maybe just I
mean, I feel like you gotta assume that God knows what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume that, but on the other hand, maybe keep some shit secret. I don't know. Be a little less suspicious. Don't get suspicious. Don't be suspicious. We're not killing God at all. Calm down.
Sorry, this is a great deep cut joke for some people that I gotta do. If bourgeois rituals of bird consumption are anything to go by, it's really easy to hide from God. You just gotta put a towel over your head when you're doing all this.
Oh my God. Literally.
I'm sure at least two people understood my Ortalone reference.
I understand nothing, and I'm happy.
I'm not gonna explain it. It's too much, but if, hey, for you two people out there who understood my Ortalone reference, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, the American Dad bird thing. It's not, I mean, I don't know it's from American Dad. I haven't seen that particular episode of American Dad. But it does sound like something they would do.
I like how you're like, might not actually be a thing.
No, it is a thing. I don't know if it's from if American Dad did it. I know it's not from American Dad.
I'm such a weirdo.
Yeah, it is a thing. I know my Orta lore.
All right, goofball. Let's get back on track.
I think it's actually originally from Roman and then French.
So the creator, the god who resides on the other side of the book. So
Yes.
the god resides on the other side of the book. So the book is like a portal, or a what's the thing that I'm thinking of?
Magic circle.
No. There's something else. What?
Door.
Ugh, no.
Bridge.
I'm talking about my theory in One Piece.
Dimension.
Exactly.
Hey,
so
guys,
it's a dimension. It's like
Gina?
A dimension. Huh?
Guys, what color, Gina?
I don't know what color Gina is. We don't know.
I gotta look up what color Gina.
Someone's like, blue?
Red hair, pink hair, blue? I'm getting too many answers here.
Her hair is pink.
Gina. I'm just gonna search this on the Google. I was gonna guess blonde. She had blonde vibes to me. Oh, this is kind of like her lesson color.
Okay.
Like, I don't like her in color. I just like her lesson color.
Anyway, I like this idea that there's another dimension, that there's layered dimensions, and that God is in another dimension, and the way to get through that is on the other side of the book. I think that is very, very cool.
I'm so curious what killing God means and looks like and is. I'm also curious if we're going to have someone try before the time we eventually do it, because I would definitely rather that.
Yeah, I don't want to get to like wait the entire time and finally God and da 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 da. I hope we see God at some point. God seemed surprisingly average, which is another reason that I started to believe, oh God, can I just take a pause here? I'm going to take a pause here to say that watching people film and take pictures for their Instagram and their other social media pages, it's so cringy. I remember a time when I didn't watch women like brush their hair while hanging upside down and have someone come and apply lipstick to them before taking 6 pictures of them so they could find the perfect angle. It's such a different time I live in now. Because I just watched a chick go up to a regular old pole for the traffic light and grab onto it with one hand and kick her leg in the air and put her head back. And then her friend came up and put lipstick on her while she was upside down.
So, there's an interesting theory that you can track to that I find kind of cool, which is there's this idea that expectations come to match viability and availability. So, for instance, the expectation of having like a perfectly clean home was only a thing for rich people until vacuum cleaners made it possible for everybody to have a perfectly clean home, and now people would spend way more time cleaning. Just as back in the day, having a photo shoot with all of these added elements was something that only rich people could afford, but now that poor people can do it because we have the technology available to us and everybody has a mass market to put themselves on, it's become a more accepted social standard to try to meet.
I think it would be washing machines more than vacuum cleaners, because the thing that took up the most time is a washing machine. But and we had brooms and beating of broom things. But I would also say that is the lawn explanation. It's a thing that we use in the history of environment, where we talk about how people now have lawns because only rich people had lawns at one time because it's useless use of land, whereas everybody else would use their lawn area to grow food. And then over a period of time, you wouldn't be able to keep them because it took people with little scissors to cut the lawn to all one length. And over a period of time, it was seen as a symbol of being rich to have lawns. But I think at some point we need to say to ourselves, if we're hanging upside down while our normal everyday friend is applying lipstick to us and taking multiple pictures in the middle of the road when other people are trying to get around you to cross the street, that maybe that is not the location.
Well, unfortunately, you cannot fight the surging tide of progress, and by that I mean the unfettered push of ego and consumption.
My ego is huge. It's got its own name. It's Apocalypse. All right, I'm moving on.
Okay.
And I want you to know that was a fully hinged thing.
That was incredibly hinged, and everybody's talking about it.
Okay, I really like that we see these quiet moments where we're watching actual friendships get built. Not with Andy, of course, because Andy is his
A
own thing.
lunatic?
Andy is his own thing. But watching all these quiet friendships. God, I'm so tired of coughing. I blame you, even though I haven't seen you.
Yeah, I am also tired of coughing. It's why I've consumed so many cough drops this stream, because otherwise I would be hacking a lung out. Probably need another one soon.
Is really wonderful. Like, even with the people who are serving other people. How do you pronounce her name?
Which one?
Our main person.
Fuuko.
It's just Fuuko. Okay, my brain wanted to add something.
You were supposed to say fucko?
Dude, we don't say fucko on Twitch.
Oh shit, you're right. Fuck. Crap. Fuck.
Stop. It's Fuuko. God
I'm gonna
damn
take
it.
Unfilter, actually. Unfilter is good.
Unfiltered is good.
Yeah.
I really love seeing the quiet moments that she has. I also love it because we continue to see it all the time, right? Like we continue to see her decide to be her little background flashbacks that we do of her being awesome and making friendships and finding out that it's through those friendships and those genuine times that she's had with other people that she's already bonded herself to all of these members, well, many of the members of the Onion, which leads to them actually having greater success. And I think that's kind of amazing that we get to see the power of those relationships because, I mean, that's very One Piece coded again. I mean, it's very narrative coded, but it is One Piece coded in that those friendships and the power that one of the quiet powers that she has, because there's overt powers, there's overt skills, and then there's quiet skills. And one of her quiet powered skills is that she makes genuine friendships happen really quickly and people feel seen and appreciated by her. And then it means that there's a lot of helping going on, but there's also a lot of bonding. And bonding is what makes teams so beautiful.
I think that's very sweet and pretty.
Yeah, I really appreciated that work. And okay, so Andy is naked all the time. His junk is constantly swinging out of his pants. If you haven't read this yet, and I suggest you do, don't worry because this dude escapes. What's the name of the dude who escapes, guys?
I think it's Uma Clothes.
Uma Clothes goes on to people. Its name is Clothy, and Clothy goes on to people, and he becomes the thing they most want, and it controls them. Blah blah blah.
Ideal outfit or whatever.
Yeah, their idealized outfit. But when your idealized outfit is boring and or just nakedness and you're just like whatever, instead Clothy becomes the perfect way to finally cover up Andy's penis.
Well, because what he wanted was just unreasonable expectations that Clothy couldn't meet well enough to accommodate, because he was like, well, you're telling me you want clothes that are completely unbreakable, that you can summon at will back onto your body, that regenerate. And then he does all that and is like, did I satisfy? Because if he does, he takes over or whatever. And Andy's like, I wasn't fast enough. I was naked for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's way too slow. And so he managed, and now there's a rip. Way to go. You suck. It was so well written by the author. I hope, and I'm gonna One Piece a lot. And guys, you're just gonna have to suck it up because my only other thing I have in manga is One Piece.
Well, which this dude is a fan of, so like at least it's applicable here.
Yeah, because it would have been really bad if I was like, and now I'm going to talk about One Piece again, and this person hates it. Just like Kazuki Toki has time travel abilities, and that's the only person that we're talking about who has time travel abilities. So obviously, time travel and the ability to pull times together or whatever have more validity, because otherwise we only talk about them one time and then it never happens again. That would be wild and insane. And so I hope that in this, that eventually his clothes actually become a problem again. Like, I super hope that at some point we're sitting here and then the clothes do deliver on a promise. Oh my God, what if that's what kills him? That'd be amazing. No, it's not going to happen. But imagine. But anyways, I hope it becomes a problem at some point, that the clothes actually meet his and he forgets, and the clothes actually meet his expectations. And then they have to have a thing around it.
I hope instead of that, they become a solution, because I love when you build up an arsenal of Monster of the Week shit that you've built up, and then there's a problem that nobody knows how they're going to solve, and just some random thing that you've collected throughout your magical journey, you find a way to use to fix something.
Yeah, it can be either way. I don't care. They have to come back. Clothy either has to be a problem or a solution. He's already a solution, though. Like, we no longer have to look at...
he's a blanket solution. I want him to be used for something specific in the future.
That would be great. But currently, we don't have to look at his dingle dongle anymore, and that is a nice solution. I'm pretty happy about that. And I liked seeing them put behind some clothes. It was, no offense, like, be naked when naked suits, but every 5 seconds, it just makes me very, very, like, oh good, there comes the square covering up the penis again. Awesome.
Someone was saying every single chapter has at least one censor bar, and I haven't checked for that, but I find that hilarious if true.
Every time you mention One Piece, the world gets better a small bit. Okay. All right, well, that's good to know. But now we're covering up dingle dangles. In their first thing to...
Spoil.
What?
Wait, that's not an instruction, chat. I'm not instructing you. I'm just saying what the next villain is.
Go ahead.
That was it. Spoil.
Oh, I thought you were saying spoiler.
No. I was chanting for spoil because you were starting the next arc.
Good. In their next thing, they head off to an old Western town. And you know what my immediate thought on that was?
What's that?
Oh, cool. Must have been so cool for this Japanese manga writer to get to do an Old West town. Like, that must have been so freaking fun.
Can I just say, I think this Japanese manga writer doesn't understand how big countries that aren't Japan are.
No, I did have that feeling as well, but that's okay. Not everyone. It's like when people come to Canada and they're like, I'm gonna go and see the East Coast and go to Toronto and Montreal and Quebec City. Then I'm gonna go over and hang out on Vancouver Island. And you're like, are you?
Do you understand what you've signed up for?
That's cute. I traveled across Canada and it took 5 weeks.
People are saying there's an explanation for the Statue of Liberty being there, in which case you've just told, well, I mean, this was going to end up in the compilation anyways of things that don't make sense. So,
well, they did say that it was because it was a old Western town made for movies, didn't they?
Oh, so it's in New Jersey. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's in New Jersey and it was made for movies.
I forgot New Jersey's where they filmed a bunch of Westerns.
You're supposed to say this, Jersey. So and then he goes,
New Jersey is where they filmed a bunch of Westerns.
Unless it's Vegas, and in that case, it's the fake New Jersey. It's the fake Statue of Liberty, and that makes sense as well.
Oh, okay, so it's in Vegas. Well,
there's a fake Statue of Liberty and a fake Eiffel Tower.
You are right that the only people who have any idea how big America is are people who come from similar sized countries like Canada and Australia. Everyone else underestimates how big America is. In Canada, Australia, and America, and I would say, despite it being bigger, to a lesser extent, Russia, because the vast majority of people who live in Russia only think about or go to an area the size of Texas. Like, Russia can say they're the biggest country, but as far as the amount of territory anyone actually visits, it's Texas sized. It's not that big. but
Yeah, but there is a
Australians
train that goes the entire way across Russia.
There is a cool train that goes across Russia. I'm not going to take that away from them.
You know why I know that? Because I listen to a story about it almost every night on my comm app.
Hell yeah. I've been listening to the same horror story to fall asleep for 5 months, and I'm 8 minutes in.
You fall asleep so fast.
It's not that I'm asleep right away, but it's that it's so dense and opaque that I can't take anything in almost immediately.
You make me angry.
I don't fall asleep that fast, but it like breaks my mind, so I can't take in information. It's very helpful.
Okay. The spoiled dude touches things and they immediately start to unalive themselves and fall apart and decompose and rot. This had a really sweet take because even though we were in an actual zombie place, which I just wanted to point out is brilliant because remember how you were calling Andy zombie and how Fuuko called Andy zombie. It was a brilliant idea to make the first thing that they worked against showing the difference between being undead and being a zombie.
Yeah.
That's a really
are mindless. They've lost their
That's a really important
life.
distinction because when you do that, you make sure that the reader is seeing Andy in a very specific way from this moment on. Because when you look at it, you're like, he's not a zombie. We saw what zombies look like within this plane of existence, and it ain't that. So
there can be lots of zombies.
No. So when they're touched, when they get there, for some reason, just kind of just like Andy's tattoo, that has his own number and then a thing that says undead, very the same as his tattoo that he has. They get a weird kind of tattoo looking thing on their stomachs that become the time limit of how long it is until they become unalived and they're now a zombie when they get into this old west town, which in the past the town had all been locked away, and then Andy decided the best way to handle getting into that town was to drive a 18-wheeler through the wall, thus letting everybody out and in and getting expiration dates on them.
Want. When in Rome.
Say that driving through the wall is when in Rome?
I'm saying he's in America and his solution was an oversized vehicle.
Jesus God. I'm sorry, Americans.
Massacring a group full of people.
I'm so sorry, Americans, on behalf of Drawk.
Yeah, but you're also laughing.
When in Rome, I'm just saying that they're in the United States. It's time to pick up a hamburger.
Andy strikes me as a guy who does drugs, so I'm gonna say a reckless trucker on a large amount of drugs driving a big truck.
Oh, Jesus God. Anyways, they get in there and they meet this chick with a sunflower apron, and I thought the chick was all of 5 years old when we first met her. Andy is sitting there and suddenly agrees to marry her, and I'm like, well, that
felt like a woman to me for sure. Okay, I did not get this is a 5-year-old at all.
She felt way too small and young, and then I was like, oh, turns out he marries her.
I got woman vibes for sure, but okay.
They attack things. She tells them what to attack. My whole dream was just wearing a wedding dress. Thank you for giving that to me. So she's enough of a not zombie that she has some cognizance. She's decomposing. She's icky. And then she says, now it's time for you to kill that thing, and points to this angel. So that's where we find out that the spoil is kept. Spoil is freaky as shit. It has a face similar to what's the thing that Zaddy dude is in? That actor everyone calls Zaddy with the spore mushroom zombie dudes.
Last of Us?
Thank you. So it has a face similar to the Last of Us kind of face in the way that it opens up and eats people. You know? Ew. Yeah. You must have liked it. You like that shit.
I've played the video game Last of Us, but also I'm bad at stealth, so I didn't make it very far before I stopped playing.
But Pedro. Thank you, Pedro. You like body horror when it has things like that.
Whoa. Mushrooms aren't plants.
Yeah. You like
I
plants
like
growing out of people and shit.
plant-based body horror, and fungus aren't plants.
Oh, you only like plant-based. Why aren't you reading the secret manga I'm reading then?
Wild Strawberries, I probably should. It's absolutely my vibe.
Like Wild Strawberries is all you.
We should
Why
buy
aren't
some
you
merch to
reading?
keep them going. Like, we should make them feel like it's a small manga that needs support. Manga get canceled constantly.
Okay, well, you should read it. They're already up in a lot of chapters. I fricking read it. If I'm reading it, why aren't you reading it? It's a great manga. So, and it's your exact favorite thing. It's plant and body horror, and fun as shit.
Yeah.
Read the Everybody, read Wild Strawberries. It's really cool. You'll like it.
I read one
Do
chapter.
Drawk.
I did read one chapter.
It's this person, Wild Strawberry Goes Hard. It's incredible art. It's incredible art. It's so beautiful.
I like plants when they are scary. Mushrooms don't count.
I've almost never been as proud of you as you singing out without an actual tune or anything. Your thing. I really feel like
I learned it from watching you. Yeah.
You just mama dropped the shit out of that, and I'm here for it 1,000,000%.
So we fight Spoil.
Should we call people in here the unsquishables? Except for we only have one person who's unsquishable already.
I want to talk about a theme that I'm noticing here, okay?
Go ahead.
We have Mr. Monkey Man with the big monkey staff, the Chinese guy.
I really love that's how you explained it.
Yeah, you know the Sun Wukong guy, the Chinese dude, Monkey Man?
Yeah.
We have him reveal that not only Fuuko's power, but his power comes from affection. And we also learn that Gina's power came unchanged, that she loved the idea of things staying the same more and more. That was a thing that powered her. I think her power also came from love, and she needed to love the way things were to use her power, because she describes this love of unchanging. The negators seem to have, at least the ones who work externally, seem to have affection as a power source. And what I find very interesting about that is the Umas, at least one of them so far, has hope as a weakness.
Yes.
Having hope and drive, desire, but hope more than anything is a weakness to the powers of this Uma. And I just think there's something interesting about the negators being powered by love and affection and like and kindness, and the Uma being defeated by hope directly. This is interesting, where I saw some comments about how this series isn't nearly as deep as One Piece, and I think that's fair in a lot of levels. The story's probably not as complex, but I think thematically this is very well thought out. I think there's some thematic structure to this.
I would absolutely agree.
I don't know how these pieces connect yet, but I think they do.
I absolutely agree. And I thought it was really weird, speaking of the dreams, that didn't she like Fuuko take a moment to be like, as long as dreams exist, then as long as I have a dream, you can't take me away, or blah, blah, blah. Like, didn't she exactly One Piece it?
Yeah, she was like, I got my dream. What's your dream? Pretty dress.
No, that's not what it was. Ugh. You're going to make me actually have to look it up now. I wrote a thing about it. Blah, blah, blah. Dang it, Drawk!
I didn't do nothing. I'm sick and I'm starting to lose my mind. Let's go another cough drop. I'm going to start coughing if I don't. Ow! Everyone love my cough drop noise.
How could anyone not love your cough drop noise? It's so good. Okay, I can't look it up right now. When I find it again, I'm going to be all mad that I didn't have it in time, because I'm going to be like, wah, wah, wah. That's what I'm going to be like.
That's exactly what you're going to be like.
That's what I sound like. That's my voice, right?
It's you going, rah. See?
If you could, whoa, sorry, phone. If you could see my setup right now, you would pee yourself laughing. You would be like, rah,
I'd be so impressed by it, probably.
It's very piratey. Okay,
Yo-ho,
we need to move forward, because I've got like a half an hour of battery, And then I've got to repark and go to my hairdresser. And you know what they say, guys? If you get your hair cut, then you have a new reason to live.
That is what that's the lesson of the story we're reading.
Weren't you like absolutely gobsmacked when the little preschool kids, one of them comes out with a gun? And he's like, "You're just here to kill us because we're doomed to be zombies. Why else would outsiders be running down into these boonies?" And I was like, is that a preschooler holding a gun?
And he has the goddamn right to do it. And then you hear the eagle screech and that
I was
American
like,
noise
yeah,
that you guys
look
always
at these
love.
people. USA, USA, America, hell yeah. I was like, this author is doing the United States so dirty, and that they've got a preschooler coming out like Dirty Harry and
I mean,
saying like,
I fucking love it, honestly. Go, you go.
it's so funny. I was
honestly,
like,
if we're
okay.
gonna talk about America and gun violence, I think that if you guys are gonna be so proud of your guns, you're kind of dropping the ball because your murder rate has been like quintupled by Brazil. Get good.
No, Brazil's still behind. Your rates are off.
Brazil has more murders annually than like China, Russia, America, Canada, and
okay, like
India
murder,
combined.
but
It's
not
insane.
accidental gunfire and not shootings in schools.
Not shootings in schools. No, school shootings, America #1.
Yeah, because Brazil
doesn't gun violence anymore, but they are #1 in gun violence against kids. And then you hear the eagle noise and the ba ba ba. Wow.
No. You do not hear an eagle noise. You think you hear an eagle noise, but that's
it's a hawk.
Actually a red-tailed hawk, because that is not the sound that eagles make. I can't believe how many Americans think that's the sound that eagles make.
Let's be honest, Canadians think that too. It's not like it's just them who fall for propaganda.
That's because America has been using the sound for eagles. But as a person who lives with eagles, I can tell you it's not their sound. But I do also live with red-tailed hawks, and guess what sound it is? Red-tailed hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eagles are like...
is what it is.
As an eagle.
Eagles have the sound as well, where they're talking to each other, and I like that one. That one is the fun one. And you heard it here, kids. Just when you thought your life couldn't get any better, you hear shitty bird calls on the Drawk show.
Why do we have so many birds around you? We have Canada's made of birds. It's 90% birds up here.
I really live like in Birdtopia. You can't even imagine. Like me, and I live in the highway to the bird zone. You can't even imagine the swirling constantly of the vultures over my house, which I must tell you can be disconcerting sometimes. A little unnerving, if you will.
All right, here we go. To say hello, and in case you die.
Oh, I have a tree I called Eagle Tree, and eagles sit there all the time, and they have never once made that sound. But my hockey hawk friend makes it all the time when the eagles are not around.
Hawks make such a cool noise. I get why America was like, we picked the wrong mascot. We got to change noises.
They were like, so the red-tailed hawk's call is actually
it is amazing. Cry of majestic freedom, and eagles just kind of sound like birds.
And then they said to themselves, what if we took the best of both worlds here, and we had the eagle, and then we added the hawk sound? You know, I gotta say, if you're gonna pull something off, that's not a bad one.
It's a fine choice of bird too. Like bald eagles do look really cool.
Red dragon. So I only have like a half life of battery left. So
bird facts. All right, let's go back to the thing. Spoil. How do we defeat it? This is so powerful. How could we possibly beat it?
Okay, you talk about it first. Your turn.
My turn. What I say is Andy's like, sorry guys, I gotta go sicko mode, and they pop the magic card out of his head. I'm just realizing
we haven't mentioned that yet.
More and more.
Talk about the magic card first, because we haven't mentioned that he had a card in his head, really.
He pulled it out for a sec. He has a card shoved in his brain. He pulled it out for a sec, and he got sicko mode and fucked some guys up really easily, because he was like, I may not know how to fight now, but I used to. And he popped it in really quick. And this time
okay, so this is really cool. Let's just stop for a second. So this card in Andy's head has been splitting his brain for making connections to old Andy. And
who was called Victor.
Oh, shit. What do you want to talk about with and because of it, and it's a credit card? Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
I talked about Shen. I
Plastic,
talked
and it
about how his
wouldn't just
powers
be
are powered
like.
by affection. And called him Monkey Man. Remember when I called him Monkey Man? Oh no, guys, she's dead. Well, hopefully she'll be back. Bum, 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 bum.
And instead of having
Oh,
blonde,
you cut out. You're back.
instead of having, that's because there's a bus beside me that stole all my awesomeness.
Well, you're back
Get
now.
out!
You were gone for a bit.
You get out of here, bus. I know you say that you have the journey of hope, but you do not.
Oh, damn. Get wrecked, bus.
And so when they pull the card out of his head, Andy goes from being like Super Saiyan looking with his cool blonde hair and his buff body, and suddenly he has dark black long hair and looks very, very different and is a completely different dude. What do you think about that?
I mean, look, transformations are name of the game in shonen manga. I'm fine with it. I'm gonna be real. I don't know if the design is working for me, but conceptually, I like the idea that, like, by nature, he's this awful bastard. There's something kind of sad, but also interesting to the idea that everyone likes and wants to preserve the brain damage version of this man.
You would call the capsule being inside of his head brain damaged, Andy?
Yeah, he's separated from his memories and he's been given a distinct personality caused by an injury to his brain.
I just think it's funny that he looks like he's Super Saiyan, like his hair looks Super Saiyan, except for like Super Saiyan mullet version, which was so perfect for America. Um, and yet he is this dark and dangerous, uncaring, unfathomable human being. And I just like that inside of him, there is still a whole other person. So I didn't necessarily see it as brain damage because internal Andy was having a battle with outside Andy once they pulled that thing out. So it was almost like there was two Andys, and by breaking the a piece of the brain, or by putting a thing into the piece of the brain, it split it so that the second Andy didn't have an ability. So I almost wondered, is it the same man? Is there two spirits in this person? Why is the other Andy still in there? Because you don't generally just have somebody change, but can talk to the old one that's also there still. If it's just brain damage, it would just switch. It would be the same person,
Like
but
it's
now a
brain
dick.
damage plus
But
a split personality.
yeah, but instead, she's still able to talk to the old one, and he even says, I could hear you talking to me, and it meant so much.
All right.
So it just made me feel like there's something more to that. Do we have two people in the same body? Do we have two people from two different time periods living in the same person, or two different dimensions? Do they share a body? Or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just, because she was able to, he said, I could still hear you, and it meant so much to me. And it was almost, he said that it was like there was a light that he could almost see through. Felt like it was, if it was just Andy still, then that wouldn't exist. That's not how it would do. That's not how I do.
The Kingdom Hearts video quote is autism is not brain damage. Not
That's a
ADHD.
Kingdom Hearts quote?
No, it's a quote from the stream I did where people explained Kingdom Hearts lore for me.
We played Kingdom Hearts when you were a kid.
We
Did you
it was great.
just say, and you said you didn't like it?
No. I have no problem with Kingdom Hearts. My issues are far more importantly with Kingdom Hearts lore, which is has become increasingly dumb and bad.
I see. I'll allow this.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I thought it also showed that he could be more than one person in there, in this, sharing the same body, because they're opposite colors, they're opposite of each other. Maybe we should look up lore around two people living in the same body who are opposites, the yin and the yang of each other, because that's what it almost feels like. Because she says, give him back, give back Andy, and then she she manages to pull a piece of him, and you see the way the evil dude's face is still there, and it's got an edge on it, and then behind it on the other side, on the right hand side, we see old Andy. So we see the two heads together, two different hair colors are there, like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing, except for they both see each other. And then she kisses that side of the head that has Andy in it, which brings on the unluck. One more way of using it as an awesome, powerful weapon, which I thought was really cool. And so that's what made me think there had to be a lot more to this idea.
Okay.
Yes, shoots him in the head, but it doesn't matter. You can shoot him in the head. It's not a very big deal.
He's pretty good at being shot in the head. It's like a hobby.
He really. Almost. He says, she says, I would have been all alone again. He said, I'm sorry about that. If you touch my head, I was listening the whole time. In the darkness, after I got swallowed up by him, all I could hear was your voice, and then it shows a light coming out of that part of his head, and it made me happy. Thanks, Fuuko. So it feels like he was still in there as a person, which would say he isn't the same person. If you want
there to be more to it than just regular old run-of-the-mill brain damage, could the card be an artifact or something made by a negator?
Yes. 100%. Shooting him in the head gave him... Yeah, shooting him in the head. Jelly Gremlin hasn't read either. Shooting him in the head is important because she has to give him brain damage. Yeah, possibly, because it gives him a way to come out, to separate it again. But it would be interesting if the card... That's why I felt
like it's brain damage, because she destroys the part that has that going on, and he back.
I think that your idea of it having to be a artifact is kind of cool. I think the idea of separating it is cool. I don't know. There's more to it. There is definitely more to it.
I accidentally hit the mic. Sorry, everybody. We're going on a ride. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sometimes
so they get their quest results. Yeah. They get their quest results back, and they end up getting the ability to have another seat, which is at the table round, an 11th person. And now they also get the ability that they have a whole galaxy around them. And then the stars that Fuuko had drawn in the sky earlier when she said she just thought that the moon looked lonely and all the other planets and everything are suddenly real. And because it's an Uma, everyone who's on Earth thinks that that is just how it's always been. Is it a 13th? I thought it was an 11th, people. Not a 13th.
13th? Okay, well, we can both...
No.
I thought it was a 13th for sure.
It's not a 13th. It's an 11th, period.
Okay.
I'm right in there.
I misremembered. That makes more sense.
Yeah. And so the other thing that I think that is really cool about this is they also get the ability that the whole world now speaks one common language, and all the other languages disappear unless you're a negator.
Negators are immune to this. Which is bad news, because now they stand out like a lot.
Because they no longer speak in the same language. Now that they're a negator, negators are easy to find. So it felt like it was this big victory, and it ended up not being this really cool victory. Because there was also this huge downside.
Because it turns out, as someone pointed out, a twink is torturing a man in Brazil, an invisible man in Brazil. It turns out that there are a group of people who are trying to kill negators who won't join their cause, which is bad because that means we can't find them, and if we can't find them, we fail the quest, and it turns out if we fail the quest, the world might end. Now, a little other thing I didn't of note here, but yeah, we're on 99 or 98 out of 100 punishments, right? We're receiving the...
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we get to maximum punishments, then that's... They think, they don't know.
It's called Ragnarok, which implies end of the world.
But isn't it wild? Like, we're joining this at the very, very end when the Earth could just stop existing. And we're like 1 or 2 away from, if they don't do tasks properly for the apocalypse, they're, a couple away from the whole world ending. And that's when we join. I was like, okay. That's wild. Kind of expected there to be a little more time.
But the series makes a lot of choices that don't feel typical, and it keeps you on your toes in a crazy way. I have rarely felt so like surprised by the direction. I feel like I have no good sense of where we're going, and that's crazy because I am very good at deciphering where we're going in a narrative.
Yeah, I feel like I am too, and I was still like, oh, all right, I don't know what's next.
Yeah, I have truly no idea what's coming, which I'm kind of glad we chose this one for that reason, because like that's a unique feeling to just be like, oh, I'm lost.
I agree. I loved it. We had aliens come down, and you think, oh shit, aliens are going to be a big deal, but it was just a big enough deal for us to get the person Unjustice to
show off
go
his
up to them and show off. Isn't it a girl?
I thought it's a dude.
It's a girl.
I thought this is a dude.
Is this your vision of justice? No, she's a chick.
It is a girl? Wow, I thought this was a guy. It looked like an anime pretty boy to me.
It's a girl. And she goes up there and is like, well, take a look at this. And absolutely annihilates all of them through this injustice system.
There's a lot of pretty men in anime. I got used to it. Oh, the design is based off of Pretty Boy from Gundam. That makes sense. It does remind me of Gundam Pretty Boys a lot. All right.
Well, that's why it would remind you.
Yeah.
I'm also okay. So then we go back to the table, and it's like, you need to get a new person here for this 11th position, because if you don't, you're going to fail your quest, and the entire world can end.
You're not even going to hear your quests.
Yeah, exactly. God, this thing is popping off fast, eh?
And apparently next chapter things get crazier, which makes sense because, again, Satan just showed up in the last chapter we read.
Yeah. So they go off. They're looking for unrepair. Fuuko thinks that it might unrepair who they are as people, and they might get their great luck of getting to both die and
not be unlucky.
Stop her peace, so she no longer so there's a small possibility that this bus takes away my interweb. Can you hear me still?
Yep. Nope, not anymore. I could hear you. Now I can't. You gone again, everybody. I don't like the look of the starless sky. It's a real issue. What if I draw the stars like the big twinkles that Fuuko did? There is a moon. You can draw one moon.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Excellent. Maybe this. I wonder how fast we can get through it, so that this
area of story feels pretty simple to me. I think we can get through it pretty quick.
Okay, you go through it then, and I'll add in, because I tend to slow things down.
Do you remember what country they go to? I can't remember what country they go to.
Sweet baby pickle, you just said that you were going to speed this up, and now here you are.
I want to know what country they go to. Brazil.
Go to Brazil.
I thought it was Brazil, but I wasn't sure.
Brazil all this time.
Well, I mean, that was for a different reason that they were talking about.
And what are they doing in Brazil? They're selling people.
They're selling people because it turns out there's a human auction for all sorts of weirdos, including some negators. And one of the negators is a Japanese child whose power is to make people go stop.
Freeze. Is it unfreeze or unmove? What is he?
Unmove, unwalk.
No, it's unmove. I'm sure of it. Yeah, it's unmove. Okay, carry on.
They go to save him. They're like, hey, child. But child's going to be attacked is getting attacked because these people want him to join. And they're like, hey, join. And he's like, and they're like, you're pathetic. We're going to kill you instead. That way your power can come back in a body that isn't fucking useless. And he's like, and then they save him. We're introduced to the bad guys what's our group called again?
Oh, shit. So there's the onion and then the right?
No. For the guys, I don't think was Is that one of the ones who was helping, who's trying to kill the kid? I'm talking about the ones trying to kill the kid.
Yeah, that's under. We're the Union, which is Union, and they're under.
Is the name of the bad guys. For some reason, I thought they had a different name.
Now, you can call them the Yunder.
They should be called the Yunder.
Yeah, the Yunder and the Onion.
So the Yunder show up. They have their people. I don't remember their powers other than unrepair, honestly.
Then
the lady moves things slightly. She like tweaks projectiles. What does the big guy do again? Oh, we only know unrepair. The other ones weren't stated. I think he's unlimited because he doesn't run out of ammunition and grenades.
Yeah, that seemed to be something that he was unlimited. And I can't remember. I didn't really look at hers close enough. She didn't interest me enough until the very end. But by the very end, I just wanted to move on to the next chapter. I'm going to have to go back and look at her. Anyway, fuuko gets an owie.
Fuuko gets stabbed, and it's only a little cut, but because it was dealt by unrepair, it'll never coagulate. Which is a cool way to put a lot of tension on just a little cut.
And they say it will never heal until unrepair is dead.
Mm-hmm. The fight scene to catch him is pretty cool. I really like the teamwork strategy for taking him down.
I really like the chick in the ball. What's the chick in the ball's name?
The chick in the ball. Oh boy, I don't remember.
Who's the chick in the ball, chat?
She's untouchable, right?
Tatiana. Yeah. And she is so cool. You know what was really interesting though? And she's untouchable. Mm-hmm. Do you know what was really interesting is every single one of the uns is so much like it's so much like One Piece. I found like what's her face from the Miss Frizzle Magic School Bus. That's not. We never went inside somebody in my old school.
Arnold.
So, pardon?
Are you talking about Arnold from the Magic School Bus?
No, the chick who used to be in a different school, and she would always go, "We never went inside people in my old school," or we never went to...
Arnold is the old school and you're thinking of Arnold's cousin.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm the person in the Magic School Bus who's like, "We never went to the moon in my old school." Anyways, it's amazing how much it's linked to One Piece in the way that every person seems to have a very, very tragic, traumatic backstory that kills their family.
Oh, let me tell you, that's just anime. That's just manga.
But it kills their parents. It kills their parents specifically, every one of them.
Yes, that's
manga. It isn't like, and then my teacher died, or then some people around me died. And then my parents, and I was an orphan. Like, they're all orphans.
Yeah, that's manga.
No, I'm not that. I'm the person who went to Europe and whose whole life has changed and only talks about how different they are now that they went to Europe.
But what you've described is manga. The idea of all my family died, that's every manga. That's all of them now. I think that wasn't as big a thing pre-One Piece, and One Piece kind of set the tone that if you're writing shonen manga, everybody needs to be dead all the time. Because in the pre-One Piece era, there was lots of characters with living parents. Now there's some.
This one doesn't have them. Literally, if you're an person, I'm just sitting here waiting to find out how you killed your parents by accident.
You should, because they did.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's going to continue on forever.
They've all killed their parents by accident.
They should meet each other with, "Hi, I'm on this. How did you kill your parents?" I unalived them. This person put unalived, and I was like, they really got unalived, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't kill my parents, but they did get unalived.
Every few days, unalive reincarnates in a new person, and it's got to reincarnate again. So
the person they met who was unmoved, the reason he's a chicken shit is because he accidentally kills his parents.
Well,
and so They let him back. They give him a tie that lets him speak English so nobody knows he's a negator, and he gets to make a real decision. And as he's trying to make a real decision, another person comes back and makes his life a living hell. He finds out that they're in this to kill God eventually, and he's like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I'm not really sure I want this."
And they're like, well, that's what we're doing.
Red Potato is freaking out because apparently Gina Skirt is
I added plaids. Look, the plaids have been added.
And then the other cool thing is that the unrepair dude comes back as a child. So he dies but comes back as a child. I didn't
Which the
fully
powers are supposed to
understand that.
reincarnate. So why he back?
Why he come back was my question.
Because
I didn't like it being he.
His plan explicitly involved killing someone to have the power reincarnate in a different person. So why he come back?
Yeah, why he get to come back is
Why
my
he come
question.
back?
Yeah, I don't like it. I want another person come back, not he. He's wrong. He bad.
And now is he going to be our next person?
But here's what I was like, we were only on chapter 30 and it was good and it was great and everyone was like, yay, chapter 30, what a great place to stop. But then in chapter 30, I had this feeling like I might want to read chapter 31 even though we weren't supposed to. I didn't care. I gave zero shits. And so I was like, oh, I forgot we weren't supposed to read chapter 31. And I did. And then Drawk had to. And then he goes, all quests are now open. And I was like, what do you mean all quests are now open? Unrestrained. Mama is unrestrained and unhinged. And I'm like, what do you mean all quests are open? These quests have the 100th penalty at stake. This round, the quests are open to everyone. Every living person on Earth will have the right to participate. Already, that is unhinged.
That is raise of the stake.
We went from, and so the person who wrote this is freaking wild. They went from like, we're trying to kill God, and here's what's happening before chapter 10. And then they're like, okay, now you get how this works in the Onion, and now this is happening. Just kidding. It's open to the entire goddamn world. Everyone on the Earth can participate. There are 4 quests this time. And then they name neutralization of Uma Spring. And you're like, what the shit is an Uma Spring?
I mean, my guess is it's a metal coil that can store kinetic potential.
No, it's Devil. And then deadline, December 31st. Reward, the location of Negator Unchange. What? So the new Unchange. Yep. Neutralization of Uma Summer, capturing of Uma Autumn, and neutralization of Uma Winter. Why is it
Autumn capture?
Yes, why is goddamn Autumn capture and all the other ones are neutralized?
Yep. So many questions immediately.
And so you're like, are you telling me that there was no such thing as seasons before and the Earth was always supposed to be one temperature and we were supposed to have not a single season except for this kind of season of one sort of temperature, and the temperature was like...
But so those got added in at some point, but like we don't know when. Yeah.
Yep. So why are you wiping out the goddamn season suddenly? And the penalty will be the addition of Uma Revolution? What is it? And then I'm like, do you mean revolving around the sun? Because then it shows the pathway of planets suddenly. Oh. And you're like, are we not revolving right now?
But that's so difficult because like this is written in Japanese. I feel like the uns are made with the assumption of English from what I can tell, but we don't know if like the Uma names are.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I did not take a close look at the image because I read this very quickly before stream because I've been
incapacitated. Did you notice the trajectory of the revolution? But look at its, is the revolution to revolve it into the sun? It is. It's so that you go around until you revolve into the sun. So it is Uma Revolution, revolving around the sun into the sun. And that's the final way that it gets popped off. So people outside of the round table are free to enter. How do they know? So the question I was going to ask is, how do these people know that they're free to enter, and how are they going to tell them? That's one of the questions I asked right away. Like, how is the entire Earth going to find out that it's allowed to? Are we suddenly going to tell them? Is there going to be an announcement?
Hey everybody, we need to kill the magical concept of fall, otherwise the world dies. Sorry, fall we don't kill. That's the one we don't kill. I messed up.
We only kill the other ones.
We need to kill the magical concept of summer and winter.
Yeah, and then it's like, we must unite our non-roundtable members to complete these quests. Mind if I jump in here? What is it? Billy. The book says that these quests hold the 100th penalty. I don't think completing them is going to be easy. If some of us wind up dead before we even get a shot at the 101st penalty, then that seals the deal on our defeat. 3 out of 4 need to be neutralized. If we can kill them, we're good. So, why don't we just drop a few nukes on them? And then everyone just sits there like,
Billy,
what? What are you talking about, Billy? Billy, maybe not. We could lose our lives. But wouldn't that be the only thing we'd lose? You're too naive, Juiz. Like, none
Billy
of you can
no
kill
point.
God.
Billy doesn't have no point. But also maybe we try fighting first.
Yeah, and then it looks like Billy is just like, you can do what you want, baby, but I might drop some bombs.
Word to your moms.
Don't do it! Don't do it! And so they've had to kill Billy, which is not great because.
Or did
yeah.
they?
But I don't think. Yeah, no, not really.
Because it.
Unfair, so don't you agree?
He repairs his body and gets up, right, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
that's what happened?
Yeah, and then he stands in the middle of the table, and the entire table becomes Ultra Demon Rock Hand. I'll be taking the round table. Pardon me? What the shit kind of manga is this? The manga is, okay, these are the things that are going to happen. Now you know what's going on. It's the property of Under now. The one who will kill God is me. So Under comes in. He's here. Under is now just, I don't know, stolen the entire concept that we thought we were working with.
Yep.
It's so crazy.
So much happened so quickly.
It's so crazy. Okay, if
I'm struggling to process it. Like, it's... And apparently next chapter is the one that shifts everything in a major way, not this one?
Yeah, so someone told me, do not read on, Mama. If you read on, you will now be in a completely different manga. This is where you need to stop.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, by like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, and then I was like, oh, what if I accidentally read on? So, yeah, we have 10 minutes. We actually have 8 because I need to walk to my appointment.
Well, let's do our favorites.
Let's do our I would like to do more right now, guys, and analyze more, but I need
you have to go. I've been talking much in this last bit, both because I've been figuring out the art and because I genuinely like this last chapter. These last couple chapters, I have so little idea how to process. It's crazy.
Oh, and it's so exciting because I'm like, now what the hell is going to happen? Are we going to have, if they're taking the table underneath, are those round table people underneath going to be an opposite of the people who are on the top? Or are they all going to be like, does every undead person on the top have the same type of undead person below? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, is there an unmove, unluck, blah, blah, blah? Or is there only one of each of those things? I don't know.
Fuck it, I'm going to pull a fuuko and add her weird stars that because the moon looks lonely, because I don't like the look of this black void.
Well, for us, it's awful. So, I don't know, but we need to do our closing segments. So, 2 things. Hey, YouTube, it's Drawk and I, and we're hanging out, we're drawking out. If you would like to press subscribe, it'd be awesome. We found out that some of our people were no longer getting notifications when we were coming on.
That's true.
You do if you press subscribe. Also, you should press Like. You should press like. I liked this. It's very likable. What's
And
not
if you
to
want to
like?
know about streams in particular, you can always join the Discord, and then I will announce to you every time there's a stream happening.
Especially when Red Potato gets pissed off and says, "Hey, where the hell is the announcement of the time schedule for the streams happening?"
Look, this week there might be a schedule. We'll see.
And then, if we get to 50,000, Drawk is doing a special dress up. When we get to 20,000, Drawk is doing a reluctant as hell. Mama's forcing him to become Luffy's Gear 5.
Genuinely, there's not enough time to buy the props for it. Don't promise something we can't achieve.
Already bought your wig.
Yeah, but you don't have a cloud sash.
I don't need a cloud sash. I've got a white sheet that we're tying around you.
This is so sick. This is ridiculous. Film
You're
Gold
excited.
Is tomorrow. Oh my god, you're right. I forgot.
We are watching Film Gold tomorrow for Patreons. Come out and do your thing and enjoy Film Gold. If you want to send us any cards or stickers or your life's hopes and dreams or a recipe that your grandma made and you're really excited to share it with us, make sure that it only is fish or no meat. Drawk and I are both pescatarians. And send it to this address. It's on the screen. Ooh, shiny.
It's been dead.
Okay, so do you want to do a top 5?
Top 5 characters. So we're doing this together now, like it's a movie.
Shit, yeah.
All right.
I say that Fuuko is number 1.
Fuuko number 1. Fuuko number 1. Fuuko forever.
Would you keep Fuuko at number 1?
Fuuko forever. Fuuko 5.
Do you think we have to? Do you think? Oh my god! Do you think we have to agree, or do you think we could do our own?
I think we do a contentious one that we're doing together and won't necessarily be accurate because we're going to disagree.
Okay, I like it. Then in that case, I think Andy is number 2.
Well, I mean, I should go next because you did the first one.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Andy should be number 2.
You're killing me. Small. For me, number 5 is untouchable.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not allowed to fight it, so I won't. And you have it, untouchable.
Okay.
Monkey Man number 3.
Oh.
People have told me his name is Shen, so I'm gonna say it with all due respect, Monkey Man number 3.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick 4. I'm gonna pick this chick who's coming down the stairs. What's her name again?
Gina.
I just think even though she didn't stay in as long, she had a major impact for me, and
she's one of the 2 top drip for sure, even with her dumb hat.
She absolutely is. She changed the way that I viewed the manga.
Mm-hmm. Who's the other top
drip? See you later, Dr. Jack. Okay, top drip. I'm gonna say Monkey Man.
Monkey Man, top drip. Monkey Man and Gina.
Oh, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it together, and I did Gina, so you did Monkey Man. That's the top drip.
I think we should have to argue it in the future. It should be an argument.
We disagree, but I agree.
Yeah, I agreed with all yours too.
I was happy with them. Suit too.
I would have put Andy's invincible suit on the top 5. I think somewhere,
yeah,
maybe even in the
5 list of drip. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll not say top 5 brought to you by Intel. Like if Fuuko wins top character like 3 of these in a row, she gets retired to the bleachers like Luffy.
No, Fuuko and Andy do together, and they have to sit on a cloud watching the top.
But just like Luffy, they have to like be too consistently up there, and then they get pushed up. Yeah. They don't just start up there.
That's just fair. You don't just put them on immediately.
You got to see.
You give them an opportunity. You give them an opportunity. Okay. Favorite minor character. Mine is Clothy.
Clothy is a great minor character. Mine is probably realistically it's actually Zombie Lady, but it's funnier if I say toddler with a gun.
Toddler with a gun it is.
Toddler with a gun it is.
You know what he makes me think of?
What?
He actually made me think of the song Young American. American. He is a young American. After us watching him come out with a gun.
Yep.
Oh, God, that's
One of our
amazing.
favorite unnamed union members. I gotta flip back through. I don't remember what they all look like.
Put your Drawk signature on this thing. Okay, that was so
I don't
fun.
have a favorite unnamed one yet.
What are we? I gotta get going. I have 3 minutes to make my appointment. What are we reading up to next?
That's a great
People
question.
who have actually done this, what would you recommend? 56, everyone is saying. Red Potato is the only one.
Yep.
56 it is. So we are going to read up to 56. I really hope you read along with us. I got to tell you, chat, before I go, I started off petulant, moody, and unrepentive. And in the end, I decided I was wrong. This is a really fun manga, and it's super, super brilliantly written. And I'm now I was like, I want to read the next chapter.
No. Can we come up with a cool sign off? Because I have a thought. I want to stick to, I think Unfiltered and Unhinged are great names. We sign off and I'll say, I'm Drawk the Unfiltered, and you say I'm Drawk the Unhinged, and then I say until next time, and then you all right, everybody, we're gonna try this. I've been Drawk the Unfiltered,
and I've been Mama Drawk the Unhinged,
and until next time,
squish on squishies.
Been lovely Drawking to ya. Works. All right, I gotta raid
somebody.
What? I just realized.
That was amazing. Okay, my sweets.
Wait, it's Tuesday.
I've got to get out of here.
You can make fun of me all you want. I send people to Oak Tea on Tuesday.
Okay. I love y'all. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Ciao, ciao, Drawk.
Ciao. Goodbye, everybody. I actually really like this art. I think this came out pretty cute. I haven't drawn in a few days because I've been sick as fuck, so I'm glad that it came out all right. Bye.